What is going on, everyone, and welcome to r/EntitledPeople, where this crazy Karen demands a job because she's a mother. Now, quickly before we get into this one, it is an amazing story, but as you can probably tell, my voice isn't at its finest. I've been at Glastonbury Festival over the past week. I'll chuck some stuff up on screen right now if you're watching on YouTube. A few vids, a few pictures. If you want to see more about that, go over to my Instagram, did a whole post over there. But yeah, safe to say, my voice is not at its best, so bear with me, but nonetheless, here we go. Former co-worker demands a job because she's a mother. In my previous job, I was a mid-level manager, and I was assigned a small team to lead. This team was composed of 4 members. 3 of them were very hard workers who always finished their jobs and tried to learn as much as possible. The 4th one, well, she had to be asked continuously to finish her job, often tried to make others do it, was late more often than not, would spend hours talking to others, just not doing her job and disrupting others. I often asked my boss permission to fire her, but he pitied her because she's a single mother. She is, and she's not married nor dating her kid's father, but the father and his parents live next to her and her parents and are all very much involved in the kid's life. He also forbade me from ever reprimanding her. Eventually, I was offered a better paying job and left the company. After a few months, I was offered a promotion that required me to assemble a team to lead. I could either choose from the company or bring in new people. I decided to contact the hardworking members of my old team and offered them the new job. It was a no-brainer for them. Much better pay, much better benefits, better working conditions, and the possibility of working from home most days. They were happy to land a better job together, and I was happy to have my old team back. A couple of days later, the 4th member of my old team called me. She was very angry that I didn't offer her the job, knowing that as a mother, she could use the benefits and working hours. She demanded that I hired her too, but I refused. Since I had no one forbidding me from being honest, I told her that her work ethic and performance is terrible and that hiring her would be worse for me. There were so many more things I wanted to say, but I bit my tongue. She called me some names and hung up. Later that day, I received the weirdest and most stupid call of my career. The HR manager from my former company called me. This has to be the most stupid HR manager I've met. I have so many stories of her incompetence. Apparently, after calling me, my former co-worker was angry and upset. HR noticed and asked what was wrong, and she told them. So the HR manager called me to reprimand me for making her upset, for treating my team unfairly, and demanding that I either offered her a job in my new company or apologized. I laughed, argued with her for a bit, and hung up. Alright, let me just get this straight. Someone that you no longer work for, an HR department that you used to work for but you no longer have any ties to, has called you up and said, please either give one of our employees a job or apologize to them. What? I mean, I don't even know who's worse here, the woman or the HR department. That is ludicrous. I mean, to be fair to this HR lady, maybe she realizes how bad this entitled woman is and is just like trying whatever she can do to get her away from her company as well. I don't know, maybe it's a clever tactic, but yeah, I thought the Karen was bad. This HR woman is just absolutely insane. Now for our second entitled people story of this episode. Another I wanted this house entitled parents. Almost 30 years ago, my dad retired from the army. That's important to the story. And we all moved from the barracks to an entirely different county. Not overly fun for me and my sister, because she just joined secondary school and didn't want to leave her friends behind, and I just didn't want to move again. If you're not familiar with the British Army, soldiers used to get posted to places, invariably places like Germany, Switzerland, Cyprus, etc. It was 50-50 as to whether the whole family was posted with them, depending on how long they were away for. By the time I was 8, we'd already moved at least 4 times that I can remember. Anyway, the Ministry of Defence used to have old soldiers' quarters in places, and when the barracks in the areas no longer needed them, retired soldiers and families would get first dibs on the houses. Mum and Dad found this house, and we set about packing up, again, and moving, again. But this time for good. Yay! About 6 months after we'd moved in, we'd almost made it our own and had some family friends over for dinner. We're all in the dining room. Ooh, like an actual room separate from the kitchen and living room? I know, I was amazed. I'd never seen one. Sitting to eat, and I mean all of us. Grandparents, 2 cars. 3 sets of friends, 3 cars. Us, 1 car. so it's very obvious from the outside that the house is not empty and a lot of people are there. Dad looks up from eating and his jaw drops. There's a woman just wandering around the garden. She's sniffing the flowers, looking in windows, and generally behaving as if the house was a horse for sale, checking its metaphorical teeth. It wasn't even as if she could have just walked down the side of the house and into the back garden. She would have had to unlock and open 3 gates. So Dad goes out with a couple of his mates, all ex-army and rugby types, big blokes, hard to miss. This woman glances at them, then continues poking around the garden and trying to get into the shed. "What do you think you're doing?" my dad asks. "I'm looking at the garden." Bold as brass. Dad's friends reply, "We see that. Why?" "Yeah, what are you doing here? This is my house. Get off my property. Who do you think you are?" The woman shrugs. "My son was going to buy this house. I want this house. I wanted to see what I could do with the garden when he buys it." My dad just stares. "What do you mean when he buys it? It's not for sale. I live here." "No, you don't. My son wanted to buy this house." "Mate, we're gonna go check on the families and call the police," say my dad's mates. "You okay with her?" "Yeah, make sure the kids stay inside." Then he says to the woman, "Get the heck off my property." "It's not yours, it's mine. I live here." By this point, we've opened the window to get a proper listen, and Mum has lost her head. Proper mama bear reaction. Her 2 babies are inside, along with 6 other kids that she's known their whole lives. She flies out the door. "Get the hell off my property. Get away from my husband. Get away from here." "Calm down, love. It's okay. Go inside. I'll get rid of her." The woman then says, with zero sense of self-preservation, "Who do you think you are? This is my house. Get away from me, you crazy fat female dog." Dad has to grab Mum on the way past before she ends this woman. "I don't want some unhinged woman in my house. Get off my property," says the woman. Thankfully, police arrive and escort the woman off the property, telling Dad to invest in locks for the gates. Dad's turn to now lose his head. He explains loudly at length to police that this woman had to unlock a few gates and then shows them how the woman got in. As they're getting her to the car, she declared that she'll get us out of her house. It's her son's house, she lives here, she'll get us out. Dad tells police he's pressing charges. The woman's tone then changes. Suddenly, it's not her son's house at all. She didn't mean any of it. She's very sorry. She can't be charged. I don't know what came of it in the end. Mum and Dad wouldn't tell us, but I still remember trying to work out if she was crazy or what. But either way, we still live in the house. And we all still love it. It's got a dining room. Ah, well, there we go. A very wholesome ending and a very wholesome story overall. Yeah, I think this woman was just a little bit crazy. No one who is, let's be honest, sane would do this sort of stuff. 5 cars parked in front of the house. And you're like, no, it's my house. Like an entire family. I don't know how many people that was. I mean, over 10 people eating dinner. No, it's my house. It's my son's house. Something's going wrong upstairs. Overall, though, pretty great to see that you are now settled OP and that you have a dining room. Good on you. Okay, then moving on to our next Entitled People story. Neighbor pointed a gun at my golden retriever, Sam. I had to step in. Hey r/entitled people, just had the most shocking experience with a neighbor that's left me furious and disoriented. I have this daily routine of walking my golden retriever, Sam, around the block every morning. Sam is the sweetest boy, full of love and always ready to play. His idea of a threat is the vacuum cleaner, not a living creature. Sam is the most gentle soul you'd ever meet, the kind of dog who loves belly rubs and fetch more than anything else in the world. He's also never hurt a fly, let alone another human being. This morning, our peaceful routine turned into a nightmare. As we were doing our usual round, we encountered our usually reclusive neighbor, Mr. X. Now, Mr. X has always been a little off-putting, but what he did today was beyond my wildest expectations. As we passed by, Sam wagged his tail, trotting slightly towards Mr. X in his usual friendly way. Out of nowhere, Mr. X kicked Sam violently, causing him to cry out. I was shocked to say the least. I yelled at Mr. X, warning him to stay away from Sam. In response, he started ranting about filthy animals. But then it got worse. He pulled out a handgun and pointed it at Sam. I was terrified, but there was no way I was letting anything happen to my boy. Without thinking twice, I put myself between Sam and the gun, shielding him. I shouted at Mr. X, trying to de-escalate the situation and attract attention. Thankfully, the commotion had drawn a crowd of other neighbors who immediately called the police. The police arrived swiftly and managed to disarm Mr. X without anyone getting hurt. I'm pressing charges for animal cruelty and assault, and Sam's at the vet's right now, getting checked over. He's a little shaken but seems okay. I still can't believe I had to step in to protect Sam from a gun-wielding neighbour. The level of entitlement some people exhibit is simply horrifying. Anyway, just needed to share this. Please always keep an eye out for your pets. They depend on us to keep them safe. Oh, goodness me, OP, what a terribly distressing ordeal that must have been. First of all, I just want to say I'm so sorry that you were in that situation. And also, sorry to Sam for being literally kicked for no reason and having a gun pointed at him. That's crazy. I hope at the very least, as a result of this terrible neighbor gets jail time and at least his weapons taken away. I mean, you can't just have this guy going around pointing guns at people. Yeah, I know he didn't point it at you, but like he's pointing it at your pet. That's ridiculous. I don't know the rules. And again, enlighten me in the comments down below. I'm not entirely sure in which country this takes place. I assume it's America. Could be wrong. Nonetheless, are you allowed to just point a gun at an animal in the US? I kind of doubt it. So yeah, if you do know, let me know down below in the comments. A capybara farmer's nightmare. I need to get this off my chest. As some of you may know, I'm a capybara farmer, and recently, due to the viral trend around these amazing creatures, my peaceful capybara farm has turned into a hotspot for self-entitled content creators looking for their next big viral video. They've trespassed, they've stolen, they've subjected my capybaras to stressful, inappropriate behaviors. I'm deeply disturbed by their lack of respect and total disregard for the well-being of my animals, not to mention the breach of my privacy and property rights. But things escalated beyond belief. Just last week, one of these trespassers, a man looking for some adrenaline-filled footage, decided it would be a great idea to wrestle a capybara. Not only is this incredibly distressing for the animal, it's also dangerous. And surprise, surprise, the man ended up seriously injuring/losing part of his genitals. This man, the one who trespassed and harassed my animals, is suing me. Apparently, he thinks I'm responsible for damage to his reproductive organs that occurred while he was illegally on my property and distressing my animals. A few days ago, I woke up to find my capybaras all huddled together in one corner of the farm, clearly terrified. Upon investigating, I found a person dressed in a homemade capybara costume trying to live amongst them for a 24 hours living as a capybara challenge. It's clear there was some sort of sexual element? Jesus, what am I reading? Not only had they trespassed onto my property in the dead of night, but they were also equipped with various props and toys they thought capybaras played with. A beach boy and a squeaky toy amongst other less tasteful things. They were actively trying to coerce my capybaras into engaging with these objects and toys for their video, causing immense stress to the animals. When I confronted them, their response was shocking. They argued that they were doing the capybaras a favor by making them famous. They truly saw nothing wrong with their actions. I had to call the authorities to have them removed from my property. The disrespect for private property, the welfare of animals, and basic human decency has been simply mind-boggling. Yeah, I mean, makes a lot of sense. I will go onto someone's farm dressed as a capybara, right, with some weird toys, and then when they confront me about that, I'll say, no, actually, I'm suing you. Let me make my video. What hasn't really been explained in this post is the identity of that YouTuber who went onto OP's farm and did this truly terrible stuff. And I would like to reveal at this moment that this was me. I was looking for another viral moment, and clearly I got this a little bit wrong. But nonetheless, I will be continuing with my legalities, and I'm suing OP. OP, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I'm coming for you, and I'm coming for your capybaras, lad. Nothing you can do about it. Now for our final entitled people story of this episode. Posted a free barbecue and got yelled at and told I deserve bad karma. This just happened 30 minutes ago. I had a barbecue, posted it to Facebook Marketplace for free. We're getting renos done and our balcony will be replaced, so I couldn't keep it. Anyway, I got 104 messages for this thing. I messaged the very first person back and they said they would come at 6 PM today. I spent the time cleaning it and bringing it downstairs to the parking garage, not easy, and she no-shows. I was annoyed, so I slapped a free sign on it and put it to the curb. I live on a quieter street, so I decided to message a few of the first respondents and drop them a pin to let them know that I've put it on the curb and it's first come, first serve. I go out 2 hours later and nobody has picked it up. So I opened Facebook to let a few more people know. when I see one of them message me saying she's recently divorced with 2 kids, doesn't have a lot of money at the moment, and she's asking if I'd be willing to hold the barbecue for 30 minutes while she drives there. She says she will get into her car this minute if I can. I agreed and pulled it into our parking garage, out of sight from our street. I put a sign on it for my neighbours, just letting them know that somebody will be picking it up in 30 and please do not touch it. I didn't bother messaging the people I sent the pin to because I thought a reasonable person would expect the barbecue to be gone off the curb after more than 2 hours. And to be honest, it's free, so I just don't care that much. I go to check my mail, and when I come back, there's a car in the parkade and 2 people unscrewing the sidearms. I asked them if one of them was Carrie, and they say no. I asked them why they're taking the barbecue apart then, and the guy says I told him he could have it. I said I dropped a general pin to the curb and said first come, first serve. I said it was no longer on the curb, and therefore it's no longer available. It had already been 2.5 hours at this point, and the lady coming for it messaged to say she was 8 minutes away, and I apologized. I explained the whole situation above, but he's not having it. He insists that he's here, and it's his. I told him he's on my property and it belongs to me, and I'm saying it's not his. I point out that he's entered our garage out of view of the street. He shows me that he messaged me to say okay. I show him the other 104 messages I received about it because he won't believe that I didn't specifically invite him to my home and promise him a barbecue. I said that's not a confirmation, and you knew there was a chance that you come here and there'd be no barbecue. At this point, his wife says, "That's really bad business." And I respond, "It's not business, it's a free barbecue." At this point, they start yelling at me and threatening me with karma. Thank God I live in a building with good security. I told them my karma is giving a nice barbecue to a struggling person for free, and it's bad karma on them to act like this over an honest mistake and a person who's just trying to do the right thing. At this point, my neighbours come out and he backs his car out. But when I say it's bad karma on them, he stops his car, facing me, and there was honestly a moment I thought he might run me over. Anyway, they left, and 2 minutes later, the nicest person shows up, and me and my neighbours helped her take apart the barbecue and pack it to move. The whole time, she's so grateful, and at the end, she's like, "I really believe in karma. Thank you so much for this, and I hope somebody pays it forward to you." So, what do we think? Was I wrong, or were these people entitled? I get being annoyed, but that's the chance you take for first come, first served. I personally would have just said, "Okay, thanks anyway," and walked away. What the frick? Right, first question here. How did these people know that the barbecue was in your garage? Unless your barbecue was open or something, I literally don't understand how they could possibly have known it was in there. First of all, as you explicitly mentioned, you dropped the pin at the curb. You said the barbecue was going to be on the curb. Now, if I didn't see a barbecue on a curb where I was told there was going to be a barbecue on a curb, my next thinking wouldn't be, oh, it's going to be in that person's garage. It would probably be, oh, someone else has come and picked it up before me. Tough luck. So I don't understand. Like, I'm missing a lot of the story there. Why did they just break into your garage? It makes no sense to me. But I mean, after that, what do you even say? Should we now really not put anything up for free anymore? Like, never give anything away? I don't know. People sometimes think maybe that it's too good to be true, or they just get super entitled and aggressive like this. I mean, at least at the end of the day, it did go to someone who really appreciated it. But from your perspective, OP, I can't imagine that you're going to want to do this again after going through this ordeal. I mean, 104 messages. Are you really expected to reply to each and every one and then deal with an inundation of entitled people that come to your place and expect the barbecue for free? It's crazy. I agree with you. I would say, oh, that's a shame. I should have come a bit quicker. Thanks anyway. Have a good one. And also thanks for putting it up for free. Not, no, it's mine now. I went in your garage and I'm pretty much stealing it. That's just me. But yeah, let me know down below. What do you guys think? Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of r/Entitled People. Really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did and you want more Entitled People stories straight away, I've chucked up an extended episode on screen right here, and it's also linked down below in the description on whatever platform you're on. Remember, like, subscribe, follow, whatever the button is that means you do something, click that. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow with some more Reddit stories.